Knock the chair back a little bit. So, last night the Rams won. That is not remotely who I picked. So, if the Las Vegas Raiders weren't already out, I'm pretty sure they're already out now. So much for that. Yeah, let's call that my low, because my high and my acts of kindness both coincide with one another. See, if there's one thing you need to know about me, it's even now, I've never really been the biggest fan of going to church. As I've gotten older, I've grown to be more appreciative of it and respect it more, as opposed to just straight at me loving to go. So normally, I actually wouldn't go during the week in the late evening, because, see, yesterday was actually a holy day of obligation, known as the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. For those of you who don't know what that is, basically, it's the day that Mary found out that she was pregnant with Jesus Christ. There you go. Yeah, angels, we have her, and I like that's pretty much that's what it means. Like, they told Mary that she was going to be, she was pregnant with Jesus Christ. That's how it works. No, that's what happened, supposedly, So I wound up going to church last night, which was my act of kindness, because, at the end of the day, I'm sure my mom and dad would have been not mad, and they probably wouldn't have even been remotely disappointed either, but I guess it was an act of kindness for myself, in a way, because I guess I would have had that sort of slight feeling of regret. And I live with enough regret as it is. I'd rather not pile on more whenever possible. So there you go. But my high was, while it was really, really, really late, we got pizza from Aniello's in Corning, which is the best pizza in the area. I talked about Aniello's plenty of times in the past, and good news, it's still Aniello's. Although what's funny is their slogan is, have you had a hot piece lately? And yes, I can say I have. Normally I would have actually posted because we ordered a large extra cheese pizza with a tossed salad. Yeah, we had vegetables, of course. But we actually ate it so fast that I didn't really have any time to take any photos of it. So I actually told my mom this, because my mom, she's kind of warmed up to me taking photos of food. Well, keep in mind, listen, lots of people post food photos on social media for lots of different reasons. For me, it's because, I have talked about, the Mom Food Chronicles, and I have talked about some of my favorite places to go to eat ever. So that's why I do it. And obviously it's to promote, like, these places are great, go and see for yourself, and that's why I do it. Last night I forgot to do it, and the sad part is, like, the pizza would have been absolutely perfect to do it for. Although, when they say, have you had yourself a hot piece lately, I'm being serious. This was hot pizza. Like, for the most part, you normally gotta do with what I call a KFJ, as we call a knife and fork job. That's how hot the pizza is. Well, most people do. Hey, look, I'm a grown man. I will eat that pizza. And yes, I almost did, in fact, bring the roof of my mouth. Totally worth it. Have I mentioned it's the best pizza in the area? because it is. So that was nice. And honestly, I guess this is also part of my low as well. I meant to go home pretty much immediately after I went to church and dinner with my folks last night, but I wound up, because it was like almost 9 by the time we got back to my folks' place, because I rode with my mom, and I parked at my folks' place. That's what I do. And it wound up being like 10:15 by the time I actually decided to head home. So, yeah, not good. I gotta work on that. So I went to bed pretty late last night. I mean, it really is a good thing today is Friday. Happy Friday, everyone. So, I have a new episode of Hot Ones to talk about, don't I? And right off the bat, I gotta say, Kate Hudson, I vouch for you. Because you were great. She did phenomenal, I think. Like, because here's the thing. For a long time, I always did kind of have a crush on Kate Hudson. But then, like, you know, she's like married with kids and stuff, so I don't really. Obviously, like, you know, we all have celebrity crushes. We all do. And Kate Hudson, for me, really is no exception. So it really was great to see her, you know, on Hot Ones. Although I will admit, the opening had me. The opening moment, because whenever you start an episode of Hot Ones, they basically give you like a preview of what's about to come, specifically when they have the bomb. And Kate Hudson's like, wow, I mean, I've had 3 kids, and this is happening. I'm like, she just pointed out the fact that she gave birth to not 1, not 2, but 3 children. And the bomb is what's getting to her. Now, I'm a dude. I will not ever know the joy, the labor, the pain that is giving childbirth. So there's no way I can ever remotely make an accurate comparison. But I can tell you this. If you're comparing having the bomb to childbirth, you have a brief idea as to how dangerous the bomb is. And it got me in the beginning of this episode. But no, this episode was great. It was a lot of fun. I mean, a lot of the stuff that the show, and actually, some of the questions that got to me. Okay, this is really, you're gonna yell at me. I'm probably gonna get some hate on this from my part, but I had no idea that Kate Hudson was Goldie Hawn's daughter. I had no idea. I actually had no idea that Kate Hudson was nominated for an Academy Award for Almost Famous. I'll be honest, I never saw that movie. But in my defense, that movie came out when I was far too young to watch it. Because, you know, I think it was like early 90s, and I was a toddler in the early 90s, so by the time I would have been old enough to watch it, you know, it had already been like 15 plus years. So, I mean, I'm sure if it's ever on, I'll probably sit down and watch it. But I mentioned the whole Goldie Hawn part because one thing that Goldie Hawn did for Kate Hudson was, like, one summer, she walks with the kid, and this is what Kate Hudson said. She says, "You're getting a little boy crazy, so for your summer, I'm going to send you to, like, this one sort of, like, thing where you learn about, like, acting and stuff, right?" And she's like, no, like, that, like, her response where Kate Hudson's like, no, like, that is quite possibly the most appropriate response anyone would ever have in that moment. Seriously, like, oh. Technically, my folks had done something like that to me, only it was much, much, much worse. But my point is, like, any kid whose parents would do that to them, there'd be a lot of resentment. Even if, like, if everything went well, everything would be fine. But maybe it's just how I'm wired. If that ever happened to me, I'd have a lot of resentment toward the people who did it to me, you know? Because Kate hasn't even said herself, like, learning how to act and stuff, that's what she goes to school during the year for. Why would she ever want to do it, like, more than she has to? But in the end, it worked. It really made her a better actress overall, so in the end, she couldn't complain. And if she can't complain, neither can I or really any of her fans. So thank you, Goldie Hawn, for that. What else did I talk about? You know what? I actually did predict this. Well, actually, the part about her, because she and Sean talked about how, she does take photos of food. Speaking of me doing that earlier in this video, because I talked about that earlier. But she actually talked about her preparing for doing Kung Fu Panda 2. I'm like, I didn't think that was going to happen, but, because I mentioned I didn't think that was going to happen, but it did. That's exactly what wound up happening. So, that's really cool. Like, hey, and she talked about how, like, she had this one, like, dish that she still thinks about. I think it was, like, tofu related or something. She and Sean briefly discussed, like, she's had, like, breakfast with, like, sumo wrestlers in Japan and stuff like that, which, that's cool. I mean, listen, a lot of people, at some point, someone's at least thought of, like, what do sumo wrestlers eat throughout, like, the day? And it wouldn't surprise me if, well, it would be no one's surprise if it really was a lot of food, but, it's still something that you kind of want to, like, do, you know? At some point you want to have, like, copious amounts of food for no reason other than just having a good time. I mean, that's what parties are for, right? Well, then, to get together and meet with other people, but semantics. Another thing that I actually did predict that they did talk about was her experiences doing, romantic comedies, specifically doing How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days with Matthew McConaughey, which, okay, this is funny, because any Hot Ones fan will tell you that Matthew McConaughey was on Hot Ones. It was one of the Zoom-related episodes because, the pandemic. So, Kate Hudson's like, wait, am I doing better than Matthew? Sean's like, yeah, like, yes, that's what I'm taking away from him. I mean, she said that jokingly, of course, because, that's how you think. Come on. They have respect for each other. They've been co-stars in multiple movies before, so, yeah, I mean, actors do have that respect for each other, which is great. Seriously, if more celebrities had, like, that kind of respect for each other, well, actually, if they did, the tabloid media would back off, which would be a very great thing. But, it's sort of an example for, people who are famous, like, okay, these people can get along. You can get along with others too. Like, seriously. I mean, really, in the grand scheme of things, you'd think it'd be as simple as, just doing your best to, you don't have to like the people around you, but you can at least respect them, Just don't murder anybody. I mean, you'd think it'd be that simple, but that's not how it works. Anyway, so she was talking about, like, the key ingredients to making a good rom-com. And, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's something that I probably could have figured out on my own. But to hear it be confirmed from Kate Hudson herself, that's even better. And that's, like, in a romantic comedy, the important thing is chemistry. Your two leads have to be, like, whether or not they're like that or they have a relationship like that in real life is secondary. They gotta make it believable on camera. And, give all the props in the world to Kate Hudson and Matthew McConaughey, because that's why How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, has the following that does. Yeah, I've never actually seen How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, and I recently just looked up how it did critically, and it's not the greatest. I mean, they gave praises to Matthew McConaughey and Kate Hudson, of course. It's just, a lot of rom-coms in the late 90s to early to mid 2000s, there's a lot of tropes that, people walk into. It's a formula. And we're at a point now where lots of people are onto that formula. So, if you're going to do romantic comedy, that's ultimately why, as much as I personally want to do stuff like filmmaking or whatever, the biggest criticism about that is, in the end, there's only 5 types of stories, and they've all been told before. So how are you supposed to, come up with anything different, I mean, it's sort of exaggerated, but there is some truth to that as well, so, mixed bag. Yeah, sorry, I have a wicked canker sore on my tongue right now. It's so horrible. I hate it. It's on the side of my tongue too, so as I'm talking, sometimes my teeth rub against my tongue or whatever, and it not fun. Not fun at all. Hopefully by in a few days it'll be gone. Not looking forward to that. But yeah, this is a great episode of Hot Ones. I learned a lot about acting and how to, how remotely. Yeah, I kind of could have pieces. Probably mentioned this too, but seriously, Kate Hudson legit went to China to visit the pandas in preparation for Kung Fu Panda 2. I mean, first of all, going to China, let's be honest, we all want to go to different places around the world. Of course, I have a list of places all around the world I want to go to too. Hey, who knows? Maybe I can do it one day. But going to China to see pandas? I mean, sure. I would do that. That's really cool. I learned a little bit of how rom-coms work. Come to think of it, I really should try and do a Mount Rushmore of my personal rom-coms. I actually did have something down at one point. I'll work on that. But for now, yesterday's episode of Hot Ones, it was great. And I'm pretty sure there's going to be one more episode of season 19, because this was episode 11. So I'm pretty sure, let's say for the sake of argument that this was the last episode of season 19. If it was the last episode of season 19, I'd be okay with that, because this was a great episode to end the season on. If this was, let's be honest, I'm almost positive there's at least one more episode of season 19, which, as great as yesterday's episode was, as great as yesterday's episode was, and as happy as I would be if the season ended there, I want to see one more before 2022 ends. Give us that, please. But we'll find out a week from now. So I hope you all liked this video, and if you did, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow me on social media. As always, I'm very humbled to make this video for all of you guys who watch and enjoy today. It will be a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Friday. And remember, if any of you guys want to talk or chat, I'm always going to be here to lend an ear. I'll always say, back, take care, and make good choices. 607 all day, baby.